Hello, welcome back to Mike's Road Trip Camping Trip 2017 visit to Sequoia National Park. Now, I just want to let you know that this is actually October 2017, so it's getting a little colder. We have a separate video that I'm going to put together a separate video detailing exactly how I got to this part of the park. Now, Sequoia National Forest and Sequoia National Park are two separate entities. Sequoia National Park is actually a paid area, so there's a $30 admittance to get into this part of the Sequoia National Forest / park area. Now, the nice thing about the park is there's actually a lot more amenities than the forest. As you can see here, there's a very nice parking spot, and here's a great sequoia, a giant sequoia pine tree, and you can see here this is another. I think this is General Sherman. Actually, this is a tree that has been named. It's called General Sherman. And just off to the left there is actually General Sherman Freeway or Sherman Highway. That's the name of it. So that's the General Sherman tree. And here's a couple more great sequoia trees. And as you can see, they're very tall, very, very tall. These trees can live for thousands of years. They can get up to 250, even 350 feet in height, depending on how old they are and how, how the climate conditions are and stuff like that. So as you can see, some very nice tall trees here, and I just wanted to highlight some of the trees first so you guys can get a general idea of how tall these trees are. Now, this area that I'm recording at right now, this is actually called Giant Forest. Just in the foreground there, that building is called Giant Forest Museum, and as you can see, there's a bunch of great giant sequoia trees that are all over this particular part of the forest, and it's not very common to have this many great sequoias. There's only a small part of the actual Sequoia National Forest that has these large trees in these numbers. So that's why I wanted to just highlight some of these large trees here and just show you generally the environment. It's very peaceful. This was mid-October, beautiful weather, about 80 degrees, 75 to 80 degrees during the day, very little wind. Now the elevation here is about 6,500 feet, so we're quite high up into the mountains here, and this is a nice area where there's a nice plateau. It's not very steep. There's some rolling hills within the mountain peaks, so it's a very nice area. And this particular area is called Giant Forest. So as you can see, there's 4 huge trees right there. They say that they're in the Giant Forest Museum. I forgot the actual statistics, but each tree weighs several blue ounces. Okay, so now I'm actually driving into Giant Forest. I'm actually off Sherman Highway, and now we're on a small road that cuts directly into Giant Forest, and there's actually a couple of destinations coming up. The first destination is Morro Rock, and I'm going to show you some video clips of Morro Rock. Okay, now this is a giant sequoia that has fallen over, and as you can see, that's the root system. I took a couple of pictures with my digital SLR with my high quality camera to get some real good contrast to the colors and stuff. Okay, so we're coming up here. If you go right, you're going to stop by Morro Rock. Now this is a peak. This is a rock peak that really shows off great views of the valleys. It's a little bit of a challenge to get all the way up the hill, and I didn't have enough time, so I was able to go on YouTube, and I was actually able to borrow some clips of somebody hiking up and actually getting to the very top and getting a couple of scenic pictures. I personally didn't make the trek this time because I was running out of daylight, and I knew I had a couple other destinations I wanted to get to before the end of the day. So there you can see the stairs heading up to Morro Rock. And here's this gentleman. I found this footage on YouTube, just some random YouTube clips from different people climbing up Morro Rock, and it's quite a trek. I wasn't even able to put every single step in there just because it took quite a while to actually get up to the peak of this Morro Rock here. And as you can see, there's great views of the valley. And right down there, I don't know if you look to your left in a second here, right down there, you see the street? That's where I'm going to be showing you some pictures on my way home, I actually get some pictures from down on that street, and I actually got some shots of Morro Rock, and the rock directly across Morro Rock is called Castle Rock. I got some shots of Castle Rock as well. So you're going to see some shots from down on that road of Morro Rock and Castle Rock on my way out of the park. Okay, so now we're leaving Morro Rock and we're heading towards Crescent Meadow. There's a tree called Tunnel Log, and there's another destination in this area here called Crescent Meadow. And here's a couple more giant sequoia pine trees. Okay. And, you know, if you want to go online and Google, if you want to go online and Google giant sequoias, you can get all kinds of information about their life cycle and their seeds and, the climates that they grow in and stuff like that. Okay, so here, that was Tunnel Log. And as you can see, I just made it underneath Tunnel Log. It was quite a tight fit, but I was able to get through that safely. And now we're headed to Crescent Meadow. And the camera, unfortunately, my dash cam, it doesn't do justice to just to how beautiful the colors are. When I was on this road, the colors were just so absolutely vibrant. The greens, the oranges, the yellows, the reds. Obviously you don't get quite the color contrast with the camera equipment that I have, but I can tell you right now, it was just absolutely mesmerizing. The contrast in color, the nature, the birds, the insects, the little chipmunks, the frogs, all kinds of animals just running around everywhere. I was able to capture. You're going to see a couple animals coming up here that I was able to capture, but it was just an absolutely beautiful, breathtaking scenery. And now we're actually on our way to Crescent Meadow, and I'm just highlighting the trail that they've laid out for people, and you can see it's a very nice path. It's very relatively level. There's not a lot of steep hills or climbing. Very, very accessible. And you can see there's some ferns underneath the trees. There's some fawn or fern or whatever you want to call it. And it's getting colder, so it's October, so some of the leaves are turning yellow. Now, this is inside Crescent Meadow. This is on my way to Crescent Meadow. I snuck into the meadow and got a couple of shots of the meadow. But I'm going to continue on the trail now. And on the way, you could actually hear a little bit of a stream cutting through Crescent Meadow. And here's a couple of bridges. These streams are very small, but they're overrun by vegetation, so you don't really see them. But they're cutting through. You can see there was a woodpecker there that I saw real close to those little bridges that cut over the streams. And here there's a divide in the road. And if you look here, you can either go to Tharp's Log or you can go to High Sierra Trail. I didn't go High Sierra Trail, but I did head towards Tharp's Log. And I didn't make it all the way to Tharp's Cabin. It's Tharp's Cabin, I should say. Now, here's Crescent Meadow. You can see the sign there said Crescent Meadow, Gem of the Sierras. And this was just a huge opening, huge meadow. You can see there's tons of tall sequoias in the background there. And just a real nice, peaceful area. I mean, I could imagine setting up a picnic in there. And what does it say? It says Gem of the Sierras. Yes. And here's past that, heading towards Tharp's Cabin. I didn't go all the way to Tharp's Cabin because of the time and the lighting, but I was able to walk quite a ways into the forest, and that's why I call this deep inside giant forest. As you can see, it's just serene. It's absolutely serene. Just really, really nice. No trees, no garbage, no power lines, no human structures. Except for the path, you wouldn't even know you were in civilization. So, really peaceful. Some little seedlings sprouting up. You can hear the birds in the background. Okay, here's some chipmunks. Now, I made it back to the area where I had parked the vehicle, and I saw some chipmunks running around, skirmishing with each other, having a good time, so I caught them while I could. They're super fast and hard to catch, but I was able to get a little bit of the chipmunks. Alright, so we're going to be back on the road, and you can see there's a sign warning about bears. This is an active bear area. There's no grizzly bears in this area. The bears that are in this area are black bears or large brown bears, but they're about the size of a large dog. They're not much bigger than that, and they will not attack humans. They treat humans as an alpha animal, so if anything, they'll just try to steal your picnic lunch if you're not looking. But even then, they try to stay away from humans. And as you can see there, this is, I had to pull over. It was just so majestic. There's all kinds of little whirlwinds of flies all flying around, dancing with each other, having a good time. As you can see, the reds, the oranges, the yellows, the greens, really majestic, just absolutely majestic. I tried to capture that as best as I could, just so you could see. Okay, here's a couple of really tall trees again, and I just wanted to show you, you know, the bed of the forest is just vibrant with life and color. So I wanted to highlight that. All right, we're back on the road now. We're still in giant forest. As you can see, there's no lines on the road. This is not a freeway. Okay, here's tunnel log. We're past that. I wanted to just let you know that this is not the freeway. This is like a closed off area that is managed by the National Park Service, and that's why this particular area is called Sequoia National Park, because it is managed by the Parks Department. And so there is that $30 fee to get in, but as you can see, they keep everything very clean, very tidy, and they really keep everything accessible. There's all kinds of bathroom facilities. There's even payphones along the side of the road. So if you're between, you know, hotels or lodges, there is ways to stop and call people, because there's no cell phone service up here. And as you can see, we're driving out of Giant Forest now, and just taking the road and taking in the scenery. All right, now we're just about to Sherman Highway, or Sherman Freeway, and Sherman Tree is directly ahead, slightly to the left. That's the General Sherman Tree. Okay, and then we're going to make a left here. We made a left and another left, and we're on Sherman Freeway, or Highway, I should say, driving down out of the park. And we got a couple of nice scenery pics coming up here. By the way, a lot of this video is actually sped up at 2 or 3 times the normal speed, so you might seem like I'm driving really fast, but okay, so here actually there's a giant tree in the middle of the road, and they actually built the lanes so that the tree divides the road, which I thought that was really cool. So anyways, I just want to let you know, a lot of this footage is actually being displayed at 3 times the speed, just to be able to cover more ground in less time. Okay, so I'm on my way down, and a gang of bikes, if you will, honked at me, and I let them drive past me, and they were flying. They were really moving. Okay, so we're on our way down, and I'm pulling over here, and that right there is called Castle Rock. Okay, now here's Morro Rock. At the very top of that rock right there, that's where I was telling you that the road, I was going to show you some scenery from the road down. I'm on the road right now, so up to the left is Morro Rock, and straight ahead, that's Castle Rock. Now I'm going to pan out here, and you're looking at a beautiful vista, and this vista is pointing southwest. So pretty much if you go in that direction, you'll get back to Los Angeles. There was a sign there that said save your brakes by using your gears, your lower gears, to help save your brakes, because this is quite a very long, steep road. And on my way down, I was really happy because I did not catch any deer during my trip, except for on my very last day, at the very end of the very last day. Lo and behold, a fawn and her 3 doe were right in the middle of the road, and I just stopped right there and got some great shots of them. And it's always nice to get scenery of animals, fish, you know, birds, deer. I would love to even caught a bear if I could have seen a bear. You know, I love to capture wildlife, so that's really one of the main reasons I like to get out, is just to see the wildlife and the nature, and to realize that yes, survival is happening, you know. Things are alive and thriving. So that was the end, and I drove home, and I will have a couple more videos coming up shortly, so stay tuned.